Oh, hello. I'm Mike Wolter, your saxophone teacher for the day. And we're going to talk about the alto saxophone. We're going to learn how to put the alto saxophone together. And in the process of doing that, we're going to go over some of the instrument names. We're going to talk about making sound, probably first with just our mouthpiece. And then we're going to attach that to the instrument and see if we're still getting that sound coming through. We're going to talk about some of the first notes. You're going to learn the notes G, A, B, C, and D. And as we go, we're just going to check in to make sure that we're getting a good sound, that what our embouchure is doing, or our mouth, is correct and is doing what it needs to do to make the best sound possible. So you'll notice that I have my reed, and I've already wet this reed. But if you haven't wet your reed, take a second, pause the video, and wet the reed. Wet the whole reed back and front. And the other thing that you'll notice is I already have my neck strap. We'll talk about the neck strap and how to position it so that your saxophone is in the optimal place to play. So let's start by putting our mouthpiece together. Now, we have a few different parts that are going to go together. This is our mouthpiece right here. As you can see, on one side there's an opening there. And what we want to do is before we attach our reed, we're going to put the ligature on. That's this part right here. And you'll notice two screws. So I'm going to put my ligature on. Just like that. Okay, so you can see that there's the opening. And there are the screws right there. Now, I've already loosened these two screws so that I can slide my mouthpiece in. And the reason we do this is really important. The reason that we have the ligature on first is we don't want to put that ligature on and risk scraping our mouthpiece. You want to be as gentle with this mouthpiece as you can. This is called I said mouthpiece. With this reed as you can. So the reed is a little bamboo, I guess blade of grass or piece of wood, depending on who you ask. And it's so very thin, it's very easy to break. It's very easy to damage. So we just want to be extra careful with that. So now my reed is kind of in the optimal place. You can just see a sliver of the mouthpiece coming up above the reed. And now what I'm going to do, I'm sliding that ligature into position. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten those screws just a little bit. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. You know what? I gotta look at while I do this. There we go. We only want to tighten it as much as we have to. If we tighten it too much, it can affect the sound production and the ability of the air to go through. And actually what the air is going to do is it's going to vibrate that reed. And that's how we're going to get our sound. So now we have our mouthpiece. Mouthpiece, ligature, reed. And when we put it in our mouth, we're going to have the reed down on our bottom lip. And we're going to have our lip coming over our teeth like this. And I'm going to go like that. And then our teeth are going to bite, not hard, but bite the top plastic of the mouthpiece. Like so. All right, now we're going to add our neck or our gooseneck, old goosey. So this right here is cork. And what we're going to do is we're going to screw this down over top of it. As you screw it down, make sure that you are not grabbing that reed. Remember, we want to protect the reed. So we're going to kind of wiggle it into place. And if you have a new cork, it is somewhat more challenging. As you play this instrument more, that cork will become more compressed and it'll be a little easier to get on there. And so again, our reed is on the bottom. There's our gooseneck. Our reed's on the bottom. Mine's a little cattywampus, I think. And just tighten my ligature just a touch. And now, if I curve that bottom lip under, bite the top. I'm able to get a note out of just the mouthpiece and the neck. So again, I have about that much of the mouthpiece in my mouth. As you can see, and I'm lighting the top like that. And then I'm blowing through it. I'm not just blowing into the reed, I'm thinking about blowing through that. And I'm gonna also do that when I attach the saxophone body, which we're gonna do now. So here's the body. I've named mine Pearl. I suggest coming up with your own name. You can borrow Pearl if you don't have your own name. And I'm going to take the neck and I'm going to put it on top there. Now, some of you might have this stopper plug, and that's there to protect this little piece right here. That's going to help our octave key function, and it is fragile. So that's in there just to make sure that nothing damages that when our neck is not attached to our saxophone. But I've taken the plug out, and now I'm taking the neck and I'm putting it in there. It should slide right in. If it doesn't slide in, it means you need to loosen these two screws. But once it's in, you can tighten those screws like so. Make sure you're twisting them the right way, the correct way, I should say. And there we go. Now what we have is a complete alto saxophone. We have the reed, the mouthpiece, the ligature, that's all assembled, attached to the neck, which is screwed into the body of the saxophone. We have our keys, these, and you'll notice where my fingers are going and where they're not going. We have keys down here as well that are going to be played by our other hand. And then, just as important is what we do with our thumb. So at this point, I'm going to actually attach my saxophone. So you see that little hook right there? Make sure you're not attaching your neck strap to any of the keys. You want to make sure that it's just this hook right there. Because these keys can get bent, and it can be an ordeal to get it fixed. So where do our thumbs go? Now I'm holding this. This is my left hand up here. And my thumb is going to go on this metal dot right here. Now this dot has no function. It's not a key. It's not a pad. It's just a dot. And that's a place to put my left hand thumb. My right hand thumb, which is going to be operating this part of the saxophone, there's a little curved metal piece right here. I'm going to put my right hand thumb right there. And I should be able to support the instrument like that. And then my neck strap is so that if I'm not really holding my instrument up, it'll sit right about there, right where I need it to be, so that I can play the saxophone. Now, all right, so I think we're in good shape. I got a nice sound out of the instrument. Just gonna straighten that out a little bit. Now, I'm playing with my saxophone between my legs rather than off to the side. I just find this a little more comfortable. I think this is a good place to start. So my saxophone is in between my legs. I have my thumbs in position, and then my fingers are on the keys. And let me show you where exactly I'm pointing my fingers. I have my index finger, my first finger, on this top key. Then I skip this little key. Now notice this little key on my saxophone looks a little different. The pearl inlay is, well, for one, it's smaller. Two, it kind of bubbles out a little bit. So I'm going to skip that one, put my middle finger there, and my ring finger there. And then with my right hand, there's these three keys right here. 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to go index, middle, ring, just like that. Now, the first note I played was a G. Now, that G is actually, if you played the piano and you hit G on the piano, you have two different notes. So, the reason why that is because this is not a concert instrument. So when I play G on this, there we go. My reed got a little dry, I think. When we play G on this, it actually sounds a B flat. It's a B flat below the G that it's written at. So But we're just going to call it G. And take a second just to get comfortable with that G. And to get that G, I don't think I mentioned this yet, you're going to hold down the 3 keys that you have with your index, middle, and ring up here. And that's going to be a G. All 3 keys need to be held down. Your right hand is not doing anything except anchoring the saxophone with that thumb. Now my posture is I have a straight back and I'm sitting kind of on the front half of my chair. And I just want you to try that G a few more times, get a nice sound out of it, adjust how much reed or mouthpiece is in your mouth, and see what feels good and sounds good to your ear. Now when you're ready, we're going to take off our ring finger. So our index and middle are still pressed down. And what you probably noticed was that the pitch went up. So now that's an A. So we have G, all 3 fingers with G. And then there's that A. And then I'm going to take off another finger. So now I'm just left with my index finger pressing down the top key. Up again to a B. So now we have G, A, B. And I'm thinking about blowing that air through the saxophone. Not just into the mouthpiece, but through the saxophone. Now the next one is a little bit different. It's a C. And this is going to be only this middle finger, this middle key right there. Let's see how it sounds. Okay. All right. Now, the next note is a little tricky because now we have to incorporate not only our left hand, but also our right hand. And not only our fingers, but our left hand thumb. So let me play it for you first, then I'll explain what I'm doing. So we went up again to D. So far we have G, A, B, C, D. Now, I have all 3 fingers pressed down with my right hand. I have all 3 fingers pressed down with my left hand. Now, what is my thumb doing? It's moving from this pad to this key right here. And if you follow this key all the way up, you'll see what it's doing. It's moving this little black piece that we talked about earlier. And it's moving that. There we go. There it goes. It's moving that, and that's lifting this right there. And it's just creating a little hole where the air can escape from that part of the neck. All right, so I want everybody to put all 3 fingers down here, all 3 fingers down here, and then press that octave key. Slide your thumb from that little holder spot and press down that octave key. Give it a shot. Okay, let's put it all together. Ready? G, 3 fingers down with the right hand. Happy practicing.